I'm Mike Wilbon. The Warriors got their championship rings last night, Tony. You have any rings?
Tony Corner, as you know, just ringworm, but don't worry, I got medication for it. I may not be able to play baseball after I take it, but I got medication for it. It's okay.
You're going to get suspended for like 90 games? Is that going to happen?
Yeah, maybe 80 to 100. Somewhere in there.
Okay.
You know, but it's
missed the playoffs.
It's going to get rid of the ringworm.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Ben Simmons and Zion Williamson return to the court. Dan Snyder reacts to Jim Irsay, and Booger McFarland joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Yankees, earning the right to play the Astros in the ALCS by defeating Cleveland yesterday behind the early home runs of Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, and 4 solid pitching efforts. The ALCS begins tonight in Houston, which was spotless, 3 in a row over Seattle. Wilbon, do you consider the Astros a big favorite, a little favorite, or no favorite at all?
Well, certainly, Tony, I don't need to distinguish between what level, but they're the favorite. I mean, in part because 5 out of 7 times this year when they played each other, the Astros won, right? And the Yankees won a couple of walk-offs, but the Astros dominated this season. And then, Tony, since 2015, they've eliminated the Yankees 3 times from the postseason. So what else they got to do?
That's right.
And it's not like the Astros are not as good now as they were in those previous seasons. Oh, no. They're at least as good. They may be better. They've got that anchor, I believe, the ace who anchors that rotation in Verlander that you absolutely need. And, I tell you what I really sort of like is that the Yankees have sort of said publicly, we got to beat them. They seem to have our number. They don't own them like Aaron Rodgers does the Bears, but, Tony, they're the favorite.
Yeah, they're a big, solid favorite to me for the reasons you said, and also because they won 109 games this year. Was it 109? What did I write down? 106. Yankees won 99. But they caught and passed the Yankees when people were saying the Yankees were invincible and comparing them to the 27 Yankees. And Houston caught them, and they passed them. I may quibble with a couple of things here. I don't know. I mean, they've lost George Springer, and they've lost Carlos Correa. I don't know that they are necessarily better than they used to be. Maybe as good, but I don't know about better. I love Verlander, but if you're asking me about the playoffs, and we want Verlander to take us to Kinlock, but Verlander got lit up in Game 1 against Seattle, whereas Garrett Cole, who used to pitch for the Astros, and they know how good he is, had 2 strong outings against Cleveland. But we're on the same page on this. Houston is a solid favorite, and the Yankees hate them. They hate them.
You know what?
So,
and just saying that sounds so weird that anybody should be a big favorite over the Yankees, and particularly Houston.
Well, this is their 6th
in their
straight
league
ALCS.
literally 30 years ago. You know,
it's a 6th straight ALCS. Come on, they're blue blood.
That's right. They are. Let's move to night 2 of the NBA. That would be tonight. The Nets and Pelicans open their seasons in Brooklyn, 3 miles away from where I'm sitting right now tonight, Tony. Both teams have big names taking the court after a year away. So, are you more interested in the return of Ben Simmons or the return of Zion?
This may surprise you. It's Ben Simmons for me, because I know what I'm getting with Zion Williamson.
Really?
He's a whirling dervish on the court. He jumps to the moon. He totally dominates around the rim. He's got the energy of 3 people, and then he gets hurt and he's out for the rest of the year. And the only variable is when does he get hurt and he's out for the rest of the year. Ben Simmons is a mystery to me. He's a ghost to me. I don't know what he's like anymore. Is he going to shoot? Is he going to shoot from anywhere outside of 5 feet? Is he going to pass all the time, give up his offensive game and pass all the time? Is he going to guard the best player on the other team because he's capable of doing that? And most important to me, Mike, is he going to be happy? Is he going to be happy playing basketball? He is playing with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Not exactly the joy boys of the NBA. They hate every team they play for. They hate every teammate they have. But they like playing basketball. Does Ben Simmons like playing basketball? I want to see that, and I want to know what he's got.
That's nice. That's all rational and reasonable. I'd give you a golf clap for that. Zion is the answer. What are you saying? The kid averaged 27 points a game, Tony. He shot way more than 60%. Tony, That team, by the way, if Zion is healthy, and yes, he's broken down so far in his young career.
Every year.
But Tony, if he is out there for, let's say, 70 games, they're going to be a problem now, right now, because Brandon Ingram is a problem right now and probably the most underrated player in the NBA, not just this year, but the last 3 or 4 years. But with Zion out there, Tony, New Orleans is a big-time problem. The smallest market, I guess, other than Oklahoma City. They might, you know what? They're probably smaller than Oklahoma City in the NBA. How can you not say Zion?
Keywords, if he's out there. If he's out there. We move along. Yesterday, we talked about Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, stepping forward and saying the NFL needs to consider forcing Dan Snyder out. Today, we will talk about Snyder's response. It came in the form of a statement by the Washington football team addressing Irsay's comments and in the form of a letter from Snyder to the other NFL owners. The long and short of it is he has no intention of selling. Wilbon, what does Snyder's reaction to Irsay's comments say to you?
Nothing that the previous Snyder responses haven't said. I mean, Tony, this goes back, as you and I discuss every day. For us, this is local, all right? This is now big national news. This is local. And having covered the franchise, having been around, yes, spent both of us at one point, spent some time with Dan Snyder. It doesn't surprise us one iota that he would come back at Irsay or come back at anybody else, Tony. And basically what that statement said was, consider the source. Consider the source. You said this yesterday and you spelled it out. Snyder did this with a little less, verbiage, but that's what he said. Consider the source, Jim Irsay, and what he's been involved in, as if the Commanders and their owner and their culture have any credibility whatsoever. So this is going to go back and forth. And Tony, if anybody else decides to link up and tag team partner with Irsay or anybody on the other side, this is what Snyder's going to do. Doesn't surprise us.
So it surprised me a little bit that he was not as pointed towards Irsay personally as I thought he would be. But he said, he said that it's unfair. He said it's premature to do this. And he said when the facts are out, you'll see that Snyder is blameless and all this. Dan Snyder over the last 2 to 3 years has basically said this. I wrote it down so I could read it. We made mistakes. We've corrected them. We're doing better. We have held ourselves accountable. Look at who we've hired. We're the paragon of inclusion. That's pretty much what he said, and that's what he's going by. There was something interesting to me in the letter, not the letter to the other owners, but in the statement. Because in the statement, it said that eventually Jim Irsay will see and, quote, will conclude there is no reason for the Snyders to consider selling the franchise, and they won't. And yes, that is defiant, but it was very interesting to me. He said the Snyders, not just Dan and Tanya. That's aimed at the other owners, Mike, to say, are you sure you want to throw a woman owner out? And in terms of we're never going to sell, remember that for years and years and years, he said they were never going to change that nickname, the Redskins, even though people said to him, this is a slur, this is awful, you got to get rid of it. In 2013, he said to USA Today, never, and you can put it all in caps. Mike, what's their nickname now?
Yeah,
it's not what it was, is it?
But they've gone through a couple.
Yeah. So things change. Let's take a break. Coming up, should Tom Brady's teammates have any issues with him right now? We're going to ask Booger McFarland.
We'll also ask him whether rookies ought to be wearing cheese heads after beating the Packers. Tony, I once bought a cheese head for some friends in D.C.
I don't think they're going to get rid of him yet.
You don't? No, I know you said that yesterday.
I know you do. You say it's Sarver. I'm not convinced yet. I'm not.
I see some...
Time to dig into the NFL with our great friend from NFL Primetime, Monday Night Countdown, the man with the bottomless drawer of golf shirts. Today he's got Pinehurst on, Mr. Booger McFarland. Booger, let's start with this. Tampa Bay, they're 3-3 now after they lost at the Steelers. Tom Brady screamed at his offensive line. I mean, he does that a lot. But he's the one who missed the Saturday walkthrough, I believe because he went to Robert Kraft's wedding the night before. How would you be looking at Brady right now if you were a teammate?
Tony, really no different than I looked at him the day before. I think a lot of people are going to blame the loss to Pittsburgh maybe on what Tom Brady did. And the Buccaneers lost to Pittsburgh because they couldn't get off the field on defense on third down. Their offensive game plan was absolutely terrible. They didn't get the football to Mike Evans, and they weren't really unprepared. Now, if I were giving Tom Brady some advice, here's what I'd say. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking a private jet up to New York and going to the wedding. Nothing wrong with that. Back in the day when I played, we used to take the private jet. We didn't go to weddings. This was in my single days. We would go to Magic City and hang out. So there's nothing wrong with taking the private jet if you can do it. Here's the issue though, Tony. The issue is this. If you can take the private jet up, why not bring the private jet back, get you a few hours sleep, come in Saturday morning, and go to the meeting with your teammates, and then you could avoid all this criticism. That's the one bit of advice I will give to Tom Brady, because he deserves the criticism. You open yourself up for all of that when you stay and meet your team. If we can criticize other people, I'm not gonna name, for not flying home with your team, then we gotta criticize Tom Brady for not flying to the city with this team. All this could have been avoided for another 15 or 20,000 on the private jet.
Booker, I got to follow up here on this. Do you see potentially a problem coming, even for the guy who has clearly been as dedicated, as committed to the game and his team and his teammates as anybody ever? Does something like this lead to potentially a problem?
You know, Mike, I don't know if it leads to a problem, but it definitely tells everyone that maybe for the first time ever, in the midst of football season, where Tom Brady is usually focused on strictly football between July and February, that there's something else that's taking precedent. Anytime you miss 11 days during training camp, anytime on a Friday night you decide to go to a wedding and stay and not fly back with your team, then you're telling us as teammates, and I'm pretty sure some of those teammates privately are talking about it, but you're also telling the public, hey, for the first time, there's something more important in my life right now than football, that I have to miss time and miss things with my team to take care of. So he's going to open himself up to a lot of criticism. And he told us, hey, I got a lot of stuff going on. And I think for Tom Brady, he's got to figure out a way to manage that, because the people here in Tampa where I live, they don't really care about what's going on in his personal life. They don't really care about any of that. They care about, can you help this team win? You've won one Super Bowl, and we appreciate that for you. But at the end of the day, it's about what you can do now. And he's got to show up and perform at a higher level.
Well, while they sort those things out in Tampa, the Bills seem to have things pretty much sorted out. They certainly beat the Chiefs. And one of the guys who stood out clearly is Von Miller. What is making him as effective as ever, Booker?
Well, it's the same thing that's made Von effective forever. Like, his ability to bend, Mike, is unreal. Like as we get older, you're not supposed to be as limber. Like, I know I'm not. And I'm pretty sure you and Tony can't touch your toes. But for whatever reason, Von Miller has the ability to bend and turn the corner and still dip and rip and get around the corner. And this offseason, Buffalo, Brandon Beane, the GM, who is a tremendous GM, you look at Sean McDermott, the head coach, they identified the one thing they needed to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They needed a closer. They needed Mariano Rivera. They needed Dennis Eckersley. They needed somebody that in the bottom of the ninth, when they had a lead, they could close the game out. And they identified Von Miller. And wouldn't you know, in the first time they played the Chiefs, here we are in the fourth quarter, late. Here comes Von Miller getting a sack. So his ability to do what he's always done, which is bend and turn the corner and be flexible and be the closer for the Bills, round one, he did that. Now, if and when they meet again, can he do that? Because to me, that'll be the key if they beat the Chiefs again.
Tony can touch his toes. I got no shot, Booker. I got no shot, but I think Tony's flexible.
Look at this. He's mixing sports metaphors. He goes to closers. He goes to the Eck. It's just tremendous. So we get you out of here on this. I love this question. Sauce Gardner, I know you're familiar with the Sauce Man of the Jets, is a rookie cornerback. After the Jets pounded Green Bay in Lambeau, the Sauce Man put on a cheesehead and paraded around the stadium as a veteran player. Let's say you're on this team, you're a veteran player. Would you have approved of this?
I don't know if I would have approved of it, Tony, but here's the thing I'll say. I'll tell you the saying that my mother always told me. Hey, son, don't let your mouth write a check that your behind can't cash. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Sauce, I'm saying, okay, if you're going to put the cheese head on and you're going to parade around the field, then guess what? Everybody that we play from here on out is going to know what type of personality you have. And we all know cornerbacks talk a lot. So if you're going to write that check, you better be able to cash it. Now, if you can cash it, hey, more power to you. But Sauce is a really, really good player, and something tells me he'll be able to back it up a lot more times than he won't.
A lot of people are looking at him that didn't even know who he was a week ago. Thanks as always, Booger.
Thanks,
Thank
Booger.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anytime, man. Y'all take it easy.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, the Lakers lose their opener to the Warriors. Are they doing the right thing with Russell Westbrook?
And did the Celtics put concerns about their offseason to rest already after one game? No.
I knew you would follow up on Tom Brady because you can't stand Tom Brady. But in this particular case, Booger's right and you're right. He opens himself up.
You like to say
he
that.
opens himself up.
No.
Happy time, people. Happy 40th birthday, Louis Oosthuizen. Oosthuizen won the British Open at St. Andrews in 2010, his only major. But he's finished second 5 times in majors. Most recently at the 2021 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, 2021 PGA at Kiowa. Wilbon has played them both. Oosthuizen was one of the first big-name golfers to join the Saudi Tour. As a result, he was barred from the most recent President's Cup, which he called, quote, a punch in the gut. The battleground between the PGA and Saudi Tours is clearly the majors. On this subject, the chief executive of the Saudi Tour, Majed El Saror, recently told The New Yorker, quote, for now the majors are siding with the PGA Tour, and I don't know why. If the majors decide not to have our players play, I will celebrate. I will create my own majors for my players, unquote.
Well, Tony, the PGA Tour just has elevated these other events. 4 more tournaments. That means there are 13 tournaments plus the 4 majors that are now going to have purses of at least $20 million. This is exactly what Phil Mickelson said would and should happen. Leverage more money out of the PGA. That's exactly what he said.
Money.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Jose Altuve. On this day 3 years ago, Altuve walked the Yankees out of the ALCS with a 2-run homer off Aroldis Chapman in the bottom of the 9th in Game 6. You will notice Altuve trying to keep his jersey on as his teammates mauled him in joy at the plate. It was widely speculated that Altuve wanted to keep his shirt on for fear it would be revealed he was wearing a buzzer through which signals could be relayed. All this came out later that year as the depth of the Astros cheating scandal was uncovered. The Astros second baseman may long for the old days of buzzers and trash cans these days because he was just 0 for 16 in the recent ALDS against Seattle.
Still, he's alive and well to play in the ALCS, where he could still be a star like he's been a postseason star before. So I think Altuve will still take his position over the position of others.
Happy trails to coming off the bench for Russell Westbrook. Wilbon, your idea has already gone down the drain.
It's too bad.
Westbrook started for the Lakers last night. This happened after he said he, quote, absolutely believes that Lakers coach Darvin Ham's decision to bring him off the bench in the Lakers' final exhibition game could have caused his hamstring strain. Westbrook said it's, quote, just something I wasn't accustomed to, unquote. Westbrook played 31 minutes last night in the 123-109 loss to Golden State. Scored 19 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 11 rebounds. Westbrook had a better plus-minus than LeBron James and Anthony Davis. One reason the Lakers lost is they shot 10 of 40 from 3. And as LeBron said afterwards, quote, the truth of the matter is, it's not like we have a lot of lasers on our team, unquote.
Well, Tony, I thought Westbrook looked pretty good, actually, but without a reset for the Lakers, what are they in the West? 7th at best, looking at just rosters. And Tony, I can't believe I'm going to say this because you usually say this in October and November and sometimes December. It's one night in and I've got Laker fatigue already. Already. Yeah. Enough, please.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, it doesn't surprise me. You were there last year at the end, and it's only been a few months, and you can't stand them anymore. Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
76ers lost to the Celtics. Did Boston allay your concerns?
Nobody allays anything one night in. Chargers kicker Dustin Hopkins will miss 2 to 4 weeks with a hammy. Is that a big deal?
Look, he went out there and he kicked every field goal on Monday night. And after each one, he fell to the ground in pain.
Yeah.
But he kicked them. He did. Ravens officially added 35-year-old receiver Deshaun Jackson. Is that significant, really?
Is Deshaun Jackson going to help them hold on to fourth quarter leads they keep blowing? I don't think so. San Jose Sharks have started the season 0-5. Cause for concern.
Well, they may be tanking. I have 2 names they could be tanking for. Victor Wembanyama, of course, but an actual hockey player named Connor Bedard. They might be tanking for him. Last one, your boy Zach LaVine out for your Bulls against the Heat tonight. How you feeling, big boy?
$215 million in load management after the preseason? I mean, Zach LaVine played through all kinds of injuries last year, all kinds of injuries, so I'm not about to get on him for not playing, but man, I need to be feeling Wembanyamish. If he's not going to play, he's our best player.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. Steve Delmore, much congratulations.
I'm Mike Wilbon, same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. Watch Countdown tonight, Tone. Watch some NBA. You hear what I'm saying?